Hello, everyone. Welcome to our day early comics review show. I'm Jason,
I'm Andy.
and we're with Infinity Flux Comics out of Chattanooga, Tennessee, where every Monday, when the new comics arrive at our shop, we bag them, we board them, then we divide them up and we read them. We're going to tell you about the first appearances, major reasons to collect these issues, and more than that, we're going to tell you what the issue number ones are about. The things that when you go in your comic store and there's 30 new books, you're going to know which of those ones sound like they're for you. And I kid you not, I think we're each reviewing at least 16 books here.
Mhm.
So I think we're going to do 32 books and all their variants and incentives by the end of this video. So, needless to say, very big week.
Very big week. That's why we do this, so you're informed, because that is overwhelming.
Yes, absolutely. So, without further ado, let's hop into this. Andy, what's the first book you're
Yeah,
going
so a
over?
big one this week is Tim Drake Robin number one.
The other Robin gets a series now.
Yes, as one Robin book ends, another begins. So even you were saying before this, like, what is this book about? Because this is, I'm gonna say it came out of nowhere, but it's there hasn't been big events around. It's not like Damien where it's like he's going off to Lazarus Island and he's gonna do all this stuff. Uh Tim Drake has kind of just been he's been kind of the main Robin in the Batman book, but there's been a little bit of shakeup. This is really cool. So Tim Drake has kind of stepped away from being uh Batman's right hand man currently. He kind of wants to go out on his own and figure out some life stuff. So he goes to a kind of yet unexplored part of Gotham in the comics that is near the water. It's like a marina, and he sets up his headquarters in an old boat, which is just a very interesting concept. So in this, there's a supporting character too that is Darcy, and Darcy was a one of the members of We Are Robin. So very interesting. They're pulling from that series. It's quite a few years old now of kind of people taking up the mantle of Robin, and she's just helping Tim Drake fix up his boat. Tim's life is going pretty well at the moment. It's changed up, but his relationship with Bernard is still going on. It's better than ever. All of that. We get introduced to a lot of the people who also live on the neighboring boats. They're a little bit like the apartments in Coraline. You've got some very weird characters around it, but they all have their own charm and everything.
Boat Folk.
Boat folk, yeah, they're they're a unique people, but it's very interesting because one of them suddenly gets murdered, and Robin can't help but investigate. And seems like this is going to begin our first big story arc. And there's even a little bit of elements that are pulled from the DC Pride story that was a little bit of a lead into this. With, if you remember, there was a story about a ghost elephant. Well, that gets picked up in this as well. So, if that doesn't sound confusing, it's not really. It's a really fun book. The art is done by Riley Rossmo, who was just previously the Harley Quinn artist. I guess he kind of left that to do this, and it is written by Megan Fitzmartin. So if you're looking for a great jumping on place for what they claim is the best Robin, I really like him as well. I think this is going to be really good. Get in on the groundwork of this, as it's an ongoing. It's not a mini series, so there's going to be a lot of fun stuff to explore with this, and spotlighting what is a really fun character that hasn't really been in the spotlight for a while. So that is kind of the general idea of Tim Drake Robin. Now, they claim in some places that this has the return of a character that is kind of um, hunting Robin from afar or something like that. I'll say in this, you don't quite get a major threat. This is definitely an introductory issue, introducing the cast. But the thing I didn't mention, Darcy has a superhero name. It's not Robin. It is in the avian family, but she has taken on a new mantle that you'll have to check out in this. So, Tim Drake Robin number one. We've got some variants. I love this variant. This is the Jorge Jimenez art, and that's one of my favorite Robin suits. The 1 year later. suit. Very cool. We've got, this is the Baldeon Harley Quinn variant for Harley's 30th. And we have this 1 in 25 Sweeney Boo Direct era variant that we are selling to our customers for $25. Oh,
Okay.
debut era. I thought I said direct. I was like, direct market area? No, debut.
All right, I'm going to start out with an indie book, but I predict this might be the biggest book of the week. This is Briar Number One from Christopher Cantwell and Germaine Garcia. Has a very strong cover. I all the way down to, I like just how they wrote Briar. I like the sort of titling that they chose, the colors on this. I think many of you out there like me enjoy retellings of fairy tales. I know it's been done a lot, but when it's done well, it's really, really good. So let me tell you what Briar is about. It is a dark fantasy tale about Briar Rose, who of course is better known as Sleeping Beauty. And it begins by retelling her fantasy, but it hits a point where it diverges. So it's a lot of the Sleeping Beauty story that you've heard before. She had a very idealistic life. Idyllic life rather. She was a princess. You know, she had these fairy godmothers, all this love in her life, everything good. But she had a curse. If she pricked a finger, you know, she's going to fall asleep. Well, once that happens, the story diverges. And it doesn't go the normal way. And a lot of this you can find out reading other sources.
Yeah.
So I don't consider this a spoiler. We do a spoiler light show. The divergence is the prince who comes to save her actually doesn't save her. He marries her but leaves her asleep. He decides
It's a real jerk move.
Yes, a real jerk move. He decides that wives are better, I guess, seen and not heard. He sees her. He just leaves her in the tomb, takes over the kingdom.
More of a grabbing a title.
So, right. So she stays asleep in that tomb for who knows how long. I mean, his kingdom, it rises, falls, he dies, it crumbles. Well, finally, she gets awoken. I mean, way, way, way later. You know, it's still medieval fantasy, though. It's
Not
not
flying
like
cars.
it didn't turn to steampunk or anything. So she wakes up and she is in a bad state. She's been sleeping for 100+ years. And no one knows her anymore. The world is not how she remembers it. It is much darker. Now she has to fight off giant rat creatures. There are people trying to enslave her and put her into trade work that she does not want to do. She makes at least one ally in this. There are different races of people that they've created for this that are not in the fairy tale that I think is neat. They're broadening the world. But mostly, this is just to introduce you to the fact that as much as she tries to make the world like it used to be, she wants to find her fairy godmother, she wants people to recognize she used to be a princess, that's all gone. Time has moved on, the world has changed, it's a darker world, and how will this change her? So that is the general plot to Briar Number One. I'm really interested to see where it goes. I believe it's a 6-issue miniseries, but I think as excited as people are for it, Boom has extended those, like a little book called Something's Killing the Children.
Yep.
That was originally supposed to be a 6-issue series.
Wasn't Grimm also supposed to be?
Don't recall. You might be right on that, which I'll be reviewing Grimm number 5 later. I can't wait. Anyway, if you're the sort of person who likes indie books, it is probably because in addition to your superhero love, or possibly you just have too much of that, you want something different. This is a strong book. The art is great. Germaine Garcia is definitely the right artist to draw this sort of dark fairy tale, even though the opening is sort of a lighter, nicer fairy tale because it's back in the day. I got a lot of variants to show you, so let's get to those. So here is the Mirka and Dolfo variant. Then we have the Stephanie Hans variant. We have the Paquette variant. And then, of course, you know they're going to have their incentives, starting with the Virgin 1 in 10 Paquette variant. So this is a 1 in 10 we're selling to our customers for $10. There is also this 1 in 25 version of the Endolfo that we are selling to our customers for $20. But then we get to the big ones.
Oh, yeah.
The 1 in 50 Jenny Frizen variant that we are selling for $50.
That's the look that when you wake up and you realize you're late for work. It's like, oh,
She's real, like she's late for princess scene. Then there is a 1 in 75 black and white version of this for $100. This is the 1 in 75. And lastly, there's a one per store of the main Garcia variant, or the main Garcia cover. It's the version of it that we're selling for $25.
so that is one I'm eagerly wanting to read. For being a fan of like fables and all of that, that's feel like it's gonna feel like putting on old shoes or something. Getting right back into the fantasy. Okay, my next one is I was debating what to do as first this week because two big DC books came out. The other one is DC Horror presents Sergeant Rock versus the, let me make sure I say this right, Army of the Dead.
Yep.
Not Army of Darkness. Don't be confused because this is written by Bruce Campbell.
Yeah,
The
Bruce
Bruce
Campbell.
Campbell of so many famous things.
Evil Dead, Evil Dead 2, Army of Darkness,
Bubba
I Am
Hotep.
Bruce.
So many great things.
Yes.
Being that one guy in every Sam Raimi movie. So this is really cool. Now, pretty self-explanatory by the title. If you're not familiar with Sergeant Rock, he is a very old DC character back from the old military era of comics. And DC's used him off and on a little bit. He was used somewhat in the Dark Knight's Metal series as kind of the narrator, but he's your gruff military leader. And in this, we are in an alternate take on World War II, where, I mean, as you can see on the cover, there are Nazi zombies. Now, we see how the Americans first learn about these, and from the Nazi side of it, what their plans are. Of course, they're running out of troops. They've got to figure out how do we make this like a renewable thing. Well, they devise a kind of a serum or a way of bringing their soldiers back to life. We see the first encounter between those and the U.S. military. Does not go well. And then our rough and tumble, easy company, that's Sergeant Rock and his team, get a letter saying, hey, you need to come in for a special mission where he learns about this thing going on. Now, here's the things I really liked about this issue. I feel like sometimes with military themed comics, they can get kind of heavy in the military jargon and the ins and outs of different ranks and all of that. They can kind of slow a book down. This one, not at all. This is your classic, a little bit like Inglorious Bastards, a little bit Overlord. That kind of. We've got our team set in World War II, and they're going to go on this surely fatal mission to stop this evil that's coming. The dialogue is really fun. It's really he's got that. Sergeant Rock would almost remind you of like a Wolverine kind of character. He's cigar chomping. He's got jokes for everybody. He's got their nicknames. It's all really fun. The art is done by Eduardo Rizzo. If you're not familiar with him, he did the Flashpoint Batman. Fantastic artist, can really capture this look and feel of this wartime setting. So if you're a fan of the old war comics, you'll definitely find something you like here. If you like your zombie comics, that's here as well. You'll have to see. I feel like there's more to this than just that one idea. Hitler is seen once in it, and there's something going on with him as well that's a little bit supernatural. So really fun book. Really, you can feel Bruce Campbell all over this. You could see this being a movie easily. I thought it was really fun, and it is I believe a 6-issue miniseries. So we've got our A cover by Gary Frank.
That's great that Bruce Campbell, in addition to being an awesome actor and just hilarious in interviews, you've ever seen him in interviews, he's a good writer too.
He's a good writer. Like legitimately, I've read a lot of books by different, either co-written by actors or straight up written, and you can. A lot of the times, it feels like they're a little overwritten, almost like someone's trying to prove, "Look, I can write," or "I've had all these ideas, now I got to get them out." This, I would say, is a little reserved. Like it's not overly dialogue heavy, but it's great. super, super fun. So here is our Francavilla variant, that kind of propaganda poster. Really cool. This one is really nice as well because this is the polybag. They say it's the polybag uh, duffel bag gore variant. Now, you can see what the cover of this looks like online, but it is in plastic. But the cover is done by Frank Quietly. It's very cool looking. So if you don't mind a little more hanging eyeballs and that kind of thing, you'll want to check this one out. And then finally, we have the 1 in 25 Charlie Adler variant that we're selling to our customers for $20. So can't get enough of Charlie Adler drawing zombies for however many years. Here is another one. So yeah, I highly recommend this book. It's a lot of fun, and I hope they continue to do more things like this. Take these characters that don't always get the spotlight because maybe they don't fit in the DC universe, proper. Like Sergeant Rock, it's hard to fit him into a world of superheroes. But you can do fun stories like this with these characters.
You have to kind of wonder why they got Bruce Campbell to write it, though.
Yeah.
I'm interested in how he got attached to that project.
I also do want to say that there is some reports out there that this is a crossover between Sergeant Rock and Ash from Army of Darkness. That is not true. I think some people may have got confused by Bruce Campbell writing it.
Right.
But DC doesn't have the rights to Ash. Neither does Bruce Campbell. Those in comic form actually at Dynamite.
And
So-
they would have had that in the solicitation. They wouldn't make that like a surprise edition
No,
number
that's
2.
a selling point, not
Yeah.
that. So
Okay, so I read Miles Morales issue 42. For those of you who don't know, this is the final issue of this series. This long running series with Miles Morales is over as of this issue. So pretty important. And on the cover, you see there are tarot cards. That is used as a storytelling element in this story. It's a lot of snippets from Miles' life about him, his friends and family and relationships, told with a tarot card for each one. It starts out, of course, Miles and his friends go to a reading, and the reading sort of just, that's the reason for the cards. But then you get a card, like for instance, there's a story with his uncle Aaron, the Prowler, and the card that represents that story is the Hangman. So you'll see the Hangman card, then you'll get the little snippet of the story. Now, these stories, what they're doing is they're tying up loose ends from the series, and they're kind of just setting everyone where they're at after all is said and done for all previous 41 issues of things. So you get Uncle Aaron has a story. You get to find out a little bit more about Miles' sister Billy, about his friends, his family. Of course, Starling's in it. There's actually the largest story in this is Miles and Starling team up with Rhino.
Oh.
Yeah, to actually go do something good. So you'll have to read that story. Really, this is not one to just jump in on. This is definitely, you'll enjoy it more if you've read some of the others. But it does sort of set it up nice for the next series because this ends on the very last page. It says, coming in December, new Miles Morales #1, new creative team. It's going to be written by Cody Ziegler with art by Federico Vincentini. So that's going to be your new Miles team starting in December with a new #1. As much as people complain sometimes there are too many #1s, that's what 42 issues.
Yeah,
I think it's
solid run.
Definitely earned it. Yeah, Ahmed has said in interviews that all the stories have been written that were planned out for this run. So, okay, here we have the variants. We have the Romero variant. This is the Voices variant. Then we have the Allen variant. And lastly, we have the Still Freeze variant for the Mr. Miracle variant series.
So does it have him throwing away his suit in the garbage and going back to his old suit? Because I know the new series has him in that one.
It does not. That doesn't get
It doesn't get like
explained.
so torn up that he's like, oh, I got to go back to my old suit.
I didn't realize that. That's interesting.
Yeah, he is going back to the old suit. So that's interesting. I like that that was one writer's take on the character, and they let him have kind of his own individual look for it and everything. Okay, next up, I have a new #1 from Image. This is Flawed #1. This is by Chuck Brown, and art is by Prinzi, which I believe is your team from Bitterroot, right? Oh, I can't remember the. Or it was. It's your
Definitely
writer from.
right. Definitely Chuck Brown.
Yeah. So this one's interesting. You looking at the cover, you can't tell too much, but there is that little knife hidden there that she has.
I see blood on the carpet.
Yes. So this is about a psychiatrist named Dr. Jim Ez. Her last name is EZZ, which is a pretty interesting last name. And you're kind of dropped into the middle of the story. It's not like an origin story for her. You kind of just pick up in the middle of like a day in the life as she's at work and she is talking with some clients about uh, kind of a mother whose child has actually been murdered by this psychopath type character that actually has a name, and she's very upset that like no one's looking for this killer. All the media wants to do is kind of give them a name. Uh, they're called, I believe, the Skinwalker, and she's very upset about that. So Dr. Jim, or she says, just call me Jim. Uh, she's basically like, just try and spend time with your family, all of that. Uh, I don't know what's going on with this whole situation, but you'll be okay. Just try to keep busy and all this stuff. She's very calm, but when her client leaves, that's when she changes, puts on a kind of like ninja gear and goes and tries to hunt down this murderer. So she kind of, by day, is a psychiatrist. By night, she takes on those cases in a very like physical way, in a very violent and over the top way, but has kind of good reasons for doing it, but a very complex character. So it seems like there is going to be some supernatural elements to this. There's one person that she tries to take out that keeps coming back. We'll say that. And I don't know, it was really interesting to get the story of, by day, psychiatrist, by night, vigilante, but with no origin, nothing like that. So you're kind of just thrown in the middle and you're learning about this character by being right there during the action. And I'm looking forward to in the future issues maybe learning, okay, what drives her to do this. There's some really interesting supporting characters like her like assistant, like the person at the front door, seems to know what's going on as well, what her nightlife looks like, and the idea of, is she like a vampire hunter? Is this whole world, is there supernatural stuff in it, or is this kind of an underground thing? Really interesting, kind of Daredevil feel to it. So if you're looking for a new kind of vigilante justice book, this is Flawed, Chuck Brown. We also have a variant for it as well. You can get a little bit of the idea on this. This is our interior artist on this one, Prinzi. And you can see the city is like a big monster about to eat her. So I don't know if we're dealing with monsters here, what kind of weirdness, but very interested to find out.
Okay, so I read Batman: The Audio Adventures #1. See, we have Batman with a radio tower. Now, this is a direct continuation of HBO Max hit podcast series called Batman: The Audio Adventures. You don't need to have heard that though. Like this is definitely written for everyone could just jump in. So in well, I guess I should also announce this is a 7-issue series, so 7 issues, and in this it starts out you get Harley Quinn. It's sort of like her creation. It's Joker. He's trying to murder her the way that he will, throwing people in vats of chemicals, and instead, of course, creates Harley Quinn. Then it jumps over to Killer Croc, and Killer Croc is being sort of double crossed by the mob. They don't want to pay him what he's worth. They pay him with like something else. You'll have to see what. I don't know why they thought this would be cool to do at all. Why you would mess with Killer Croc. But I have to say, by the end of the story, it takes a really weird turn. Like, I can't even begin to tell you. You'd have to read it. But the Killer Croc part, by the end, it's like, what? Oh my, this is very strange. The main story is there's a new group in Gotham called Demon's Brood, and they are looking for a missing powerful scimitar. So the scimitar has meaning to them. It's supposedly also magical. It probably is. Well, them and Batman get into it, but they kind of act like they just want to hire Batman because he's a great detective. Will that be how it is? I'm going to go ahead and guess no. I mean, they're called Demon's Brood. They look very evil. Wait till you see them in the issue. So, first appearance of all of them, just in case you're wondering. So, that is generally what is going on in the setup of Batman, the Audio Adventures #1. And we have this variant. Check out this all red variant. Like, he was a good artist to get for, just that older
Yeah.
style thing. So, like an audio adventure.
Next up, we have what they were claiming in the solicitation is a critical issue to the A.X.E storyline. This is Avengers X-Men Eternals, Avengers #1. This is just a one-shot. There's going to be a follow-up one for the X-Men and then one for the Eternals. But if you have been following the story, you know that Tony Stark has put together a team of all three groups to go inside of the progenitor, the big thing that's going to be judging everybody and is the big threat in this, and look for a self-destruct button. I don't know if they know how these are generally made, that there's always a self-destruct button in there, but I guess this is kind of a last-ditch effort to do that. So, as the team goes in there, Tony Stark, the reason why he's on the cover is because he starts getting these visions that all the people who have been judged get. They're kind of confronted by things in their past to find out if they are kind of good or bad or worthy or not worthy, whatever you want to say. Uh, if they kind of add to if enough people are good, then it will save the earth. And so this is mostly a Iron Man issue as he confronts old suits of armor that are talking to him, Thor, Hulk, Captain America, and even his father, as it is trying to decide if he is one of the good guys, or however you want to say it. Very interesting because with them saying like this is a essential read for that, the whole time I'm trying to figure out what is that. And by the end, it's kind of one of those, if this plan works, then yes, this will be very vital to the overall story. But it's always, plans never in comics work out the way they originally planned. So I'll be interested to see now in the next two issues if this was really a essential read for the Axe tie-in. But I thought this one was interesting. All the characters kind of confronting Tony about his past and for a very conflicted character to see how good and how kind of pure-hearted he truly is. So that was Axe Avengers #1, just a one shot. And then we have a LaRocca variant for it as well. I believe this is a connecting variant.
Okay, so it is here. The first issue of Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, the Armageddon game, which is supposed to be the big turtle event of the rest of this year. And it's surely going to go into next year because this is an 8-issue series.
Wow.
So this is oversized. It is 32 pages, but I'll tell you, it reads like 3 comics. There is a lot put into this. You can tell the creators really care. They're trying to tell a story. That is big and grand. It plays out like a very grand story or movie is what I would say about it. So the Armageddon game, they actually talk about this. That is the Rat King's plan. Shredder has heard about it. The Turtles have heard about it. So they openly are like, hey, Rat King is doing this Armageddon game. We don't know what this is. And so as the reader, you also want to know. I will say Rat King, he comes off very cocky in this. Like he seems very sure that what he's doing is going to work. He's also teamed up with Baxter Stockman, Madam Null, and Krang. But you understand that Rat King's is really the only one playing the game, whatever that is. That's his master plan. So the whole time reading this, I'm trying to figure it out. But there is so much going on in this. The paneling by the Federici is awesome. Like it is very fast paced and fun to read. but a lot there, a lot there. Dense in a fun,
Mhm.
enjoyable way. So Shredder splits up the team because he is leading the Turtles right now, and some of them go to Dimension X to go get some help. They don't know what the plan is, they just know they better go ahead and
Mhm.
get help. The rest of them stay in the city to try to wait it out, watch what happens. By the end of the issue, I'm starting to see some of the plan because the mayor gives a big speech, and guess what? He gets attacked by what looks to be like turtles with weapons.
Hmm.
So that's as far as I can go. There's more that you might pick up on, but I'm starting to see the plan here. Perhaps he's going to turn the whole city against the turtles. I,
Hmm.
I don't know yet, but it was a very good first issue. Like I said, if you like to buy a comic where you feel like you've really got your money's worth, this is it. A lot put into it. Here is the Eastman variant.
Very cool with leather Krang.
Yeah, leather Krang. Yep, that's the version of Krang that is in this. And here is the Quilano variant. This is the 1 in 10 incentive we're selling to our customers for $10.
Yeah, it's funny to think that Turtles are like a sleeper hit, but it's like, no, it's actually really good. Like, I feel like more people should be reading
The
Ninja
creative
Turtles.
team, they are really trying to make good stuff. They
Yeah.
are not just churning out like, oh, it has the TMNT name on it. Who cares?
Yeah.
So,
Next up, I've got Action Comics number 1047. We're getting close to 1050. And this is our Return of Kal-El, part one of Superman coming back to Earth. Now, this kind of picks up, like, everybody knows he's back now. Um, he's kind of catching up on all the things that he's missed, also addressing one of the big things that happened in the War World, the end of that story, is that War World is now in orbit around Earth. Now, a place called War World in orbit around Earth is a pretty scary thing, but Kal-El Superman comes with his whole family and addresses the public and he did a lot of work there to turn it around and kind of put the slaves in control. And so this is a lot of that kind of thing is Superman coming back and reestablishing himself and kind of assuring people of things and that everything's good now that he's back.
shouldn't the people in charge like rebrand and rename that planet
Yeah, like
immediately?
Friendly World
Yeah,
or something. Yeah.
like step one, let's rename our world.
Yeah, he should be like, yeah, that's not a war world. That's a cotton candy world. That's great. But as the what also came along with that was Superman has brought two children who were slaves and they lost their parents and everything on War World. Uh, he brought them back and is now not he's not claiming to be their father or anything, but they are in the care of Lois and Clark. As he kind of tries to figure out what can we do to help them and get them established and everything. So there's a lot between Clark and Lois talking about, they have these kids here, and Lois talking about Jonathan and how when she thinks about him, it flashes between the young him and the older him, and having these kids here is kind of reminding her of all that. So it's a very interesting jumping on point if you are looking for a jumping on point for the Kal-El Superman. Um, you do have to kind of accept some things that happened with the previous run because this is the same writer, and it would be kind of crazy not to, with as big of a story that is, to have some threads that do continue into this. But I do believe that you can get into this and pretty well figure out what's going on. Lex Luthor, of course, also is there and has a plan. Looks like maybe with Metallo uh, is going to be a big threat for Superman coming up. But I thought this was really good. It's really fun to read. Superman back on Earth, doing very heroic things. He does a lot of the classic Superman things of like thanking kids for buckling up when they're in the car and all this stuff after he saves them. Really wholesome Superman stuff. I thought it was a really fun issue of Superman. Make sure I got the name right. Kal-El Returns Part 1. I think this is going to be bouncing between this and Superman Son of Kal-El as we do the return story arc. And we also have this really nice Lyrics Harley Quinn 30th anniversary cover.
Okay, so I read Marvel Voices Community One Shot. This, like all the Voices comics, is going to be an anthology. This one is 5 different stories by various creative teams for National Hispanic Heritage Month, featuring Latinx characters across the Marvel Universe. I just want to get out there. There is a first appearance in this, and this character is definitely going to be back. I'll tell you how I know that later. But the character's name is Chimera. Okay, I'll tell you more about Chimera, but she has superpowers. She's fully designed. In fact, there's a design variant I'll be showing later with her on the cover. So first appearance of Chimera in this. So the 5 stories, just to quickly tell you what they're about. The first one is a Nova story. Sam Alexander Nova. He's out in space and he's trying to broker peace between these 2 alien races who don't get along. The second story is Miles Morales fighting a music supervillain named Earworm.
It's a really good name.
Yeah, and that is Earworm's first appearance as well.
Is he a giant worm?
No.
Oh, man.
No. Will he be back? I don't know. It seemed like he was just for this story. The third story, though, is White Tiger going up against Mr. Fear. And this is a story why Chimera appears in it. So it's weird because it's like, okay, who is Chimera and what are her powers? What are her origin? We don't get a lot. There are 2 shadowy figures who are talking about testing some creation they made that has escaped. It seems that is Chimera. They've done something to her. She has gotten away on her own, but this group still feels like they're going to be able to pull her back or rein her in. What her power is, you get to see. It looks like she has some sort of flame power. She kind of holds out her hand, and it's like flame comes out of her hand. But it's not really explored. She just kind of gets in there and helps White Tiger, and White Tiger realizes, oh, you're a new person that's powerful, and you have a lot of like issues. I could just tell, and that's it. So why would they introduce this character and have this shadowy group when it doesn't get wrapped up at all if they're not going to go back to this? So I guarantee she's going to be in something. I don't know what. White Tiger is going to be in Tiger Division. That comic, Tiger Division's getting their own comic. I could kind of see Chimera maybe being in that. So first appearance of Chimera in that story. And then the fourth story is Shark Girl goes up against Namor at the beach. Because, of course, as usual, Namor has lost some sort of powerful trident and he's blaming mankind. So, Shark Girl in that story. And then the last story is America Chavez. She is back in her original homeworld, and she's fighting this alien wrestler with multiple arms.
Oh, fun.
But also, she has sort of a nice talk with her father about some things, some advice he wants to sort of change and take back that he gave her incorrectly years ago. So that is sort of what's going on with the 5 stories. There are also some essays and things like that in this as well. Let's get to the variants, though, because we got to show those. Here is the Chico variant. Some of the characters you will see in this. And then here is the Jimenez variant. And lastly, as promised, here is that Medina design variant for Chimera. And look at that. She's got a symbol on her and everything.
Yeah, very fleshed out character already. That's a good sign that they've got plans for a character.
Yeah, if you grab up all the first appearances, I'm grabbing them.
Yeah, interesting too. A chimera is a thing that is like a amalgamation of multiple things.
Yeah.
So that people are kind of acting like she's an experiment. That seems right on point. Next up, I've got Amazing Spider-Man number 10. Now, this is very interesting. This has been 2 event tie-in issues of Spider-Man in a row. So last time we had the Hellfire Gala. This time we have the Axe tie-in. Both of them, I would say, don't add too much to the ongoing storyline of what's been going on in Amazing Spider-Man, but I think both of them are still really fun reads. This one, as you can see on the cover, we've got Peter and Gwen Stacy looking like she did back in the day. Not Spider-Gwen-ish. So, like I said, with the other Axe tie-in, the characters are getting confronted with characters from their past that are kind of the progenitors' way of getting through to them as it judges them. And of course, a big thing to judge Peter would be Gwen Stacy, which is that's kind of a dark move on the progenitor's part. But what's great about this is it's really well written by Zeb Wells. Peter basically is on a phone call with Iron Man before Gwen Stacy shows up, and Iron Man's telling him like, "Yeah, don't be surprised if someone from your past shows up randomly. That's kind of what's going on right now." And Peter's like, "Okay, I'll remember that." And he looks over and there's Gwen Stacy. So he already knows what this is. He knows that this isn't really Gwen Stacy. I like that we get a lot of that out of the way. It's like we don't have to go through the whole like he's figuring it out, but that still uh, doesn't help the situation that there's a Gwen Stacy that only he can see that's judging him. But it doesn't immediately talk to him and judge him. It just hangs out with him for the day, and he just talks to him. He's like, "Okay, I guess we're going to work now." And he goes throughout his day, and you can kind of see he knows what's going on, where he knows that he has to kind of do good to be judged well, and he's like, "Well, I'm Spider-Man. I've done a lot of good, but I'm just gonna go like try to make amends with people." So he goes and he visits a lot of people, like Aunt May, which we see in one way who the person that came to her is. J. Jonah Jameson, and how he's trying to be a good person now. A lot of really fun interactions. That's what a lot of this book is just Peter interacting with people from his past and the current cast and everything. And then it wraps up with him going to meet with Norman Osborn. And finally, there's a very interesting, very touching, but very weird thing that happens at the very end. I'm not sure if they're going to address anymore in the future, but it's something that I feel like the progenitor hasn't done for anybody else, at least not that I've read. But definitely check it out to see. I think it was a very interesting issue, even if it is just a tie-in issue. We also have a variant for it. This is the Marcos Martin Beyond Amazing variant.
Okay, I read Detective Comics issue 1064. So look at that cover there. You have sort of a bat-looking demon
It's very
on
scary.
a Batman statue. You know, sort of the monkey on the back. And this issue starts out with a legend, and it's great because the art style changes to reflect that that's telling this like legend story, and the story is being told by Talia al Ghul to Damian Wayne, and this story very much ties in what's going on. It has a lot to do with this force that's turning people into demons. So I really like that the art style just really shifts. It opens up, and it's like, oh wow, this is like I'm reading a whole different comic for a little bit. But not too long. You know, it's just the right amount. So you get to learn a lot about this legend that might figure into these, the way that the criminals are changing into monsters. So meanwhile, Batman is continuing his investigation, but he's been having those like mental pangs and problems. So he goes to a professional as Bruce Wayne, and the professional gives him his opinion on what is going on. You'll have to hear what that is by reading this issue. But it's funny because Bruce Wayne is like, no, like totally disagrees with the doctor, doesn't take any advice. So the investigation continues on, and there's also the finale of the Jim Gordon story, the backup story. The finale of that happens in this. So another issue that just sort of moves the plot forward. You get to learn a little bit more about what's going on in Detective 1064. And as far as variants, we have, here is the Williams variant.
Very pretty.
Here is the Anacleto variant, celebrating Harley Quinn's 30th anniversary. And lastly, there is a 1 in 25 Simmons variant we're selling to our customers for $20.
Now, that's the end of the Jim Gordon part of the story, but not for the main.
Correct. Yeah,
Okay.
the Gordon story was just 3 issues.
Okay.
Yeah,
Cool.
The main
I guess we'll
plotline's
probably
been
get
done.
another one in the next one. Okay, so this is funny because Uh, 8 Billion Genies, number 5 is out this week. And usually when books are up to, past number 3, I don't take a whole lot of notes about them when I'm reading them. But with 8 Billion Genies, I cannot help but write notes about it because this is one of the best books coming out. So much fun. And once, we kind of figured out after the first few issues that every issue is, seconds, then minutes, then days, now we're up to 8 months. We're exploring 8 months after the Genies. But where you're used to opening the opening page and seeing the world looking crazy, this actually opens and it starts out years before. Actually, this book starts in 1980, where we are following a kid named Floyd Fawn. And he's definitely kind of the typical 80s nerd kid. He gets picked on, very down on his luck and everything. But we do find out slowly over time, especially when the genies arrive, what kind of person he really is. So that's kind of the main part of this. But we also get a lot of, this could almost work as a pseudo finale because we are jumping 8 months and a lot has happened in the 8 months. Pretty much all the big stuff. People who are very like rash with their decisions, those have passed, and now the people who have wishes left are being very careful how they word things to try and restore some order to the world. But I'm looking forward to it because this is only issue 5 of 8, and we know it ends up with 8 centuries later. So I love the progression of this because as we go along, these characters are getting older. We've had a character that was pregnant in the beginning. She has a baby in this one, and so we're really following these people through a long period of time, which I really really like. The other thing I just really liked was in the 1980s, um, this kid had battle beasts. If you remember the like 2-inch toys of battle beasts, he's playing with those, and then in the future, those same battle beasts are now bodyguards in this big mythical city. I just thought it never points it out. There's just so much to look at and dissect. Looking in the backgrounds, wondering what wish made this, or why is there a giant candy bar with a smiley face the size of a skyscraper? It's just really fun. Can't recommend this book enough. And it's one of the books once it ends uh with issue 8, I don't know how you could do a sequel series, but I'm really upset that this is finite. I would hate for the whole thing to be done again, but maybe from a different perspective or something like that. But I'm enjoying the ride while it's going. And we have a variant for that as well. This is the Trad Moore variant.
All right, another hit indie series that is coming out this week is Grimm Number 5. This, of course, is from Stephanie Phillips with art by Flaviano, which I think Flaviano is doing some of the best interiors on this of any comic that I'm currently reading. I love the interiors on this, just incredible. So last issue, Jessica Harrow, our main character, and her two companions, they track down Death to a room in Las Vegas, and Death was about to explain this why he is there. Well, it all gets explained in this issue. You get to find out why Death is in exile. You get to find out who Jessica Harrow's mother is, why she might have these powers to go between the living and dead world. You get to find out about her boss Adira, where she fits into this. Is she good? Is she bad? Adira's history with Death. I mean, it's all answered in this issue. Like every page, I'm like, oh, just turning every page, learning things. There is some really cool scenes of past wars in the Land of the Dead that you get to see. I love the way that they're drawn out. And that big villainous character, the End, who you kind of see on the cover there, that's whose mouth is around Jessica's head. The End is back in this issue as well. So a lot of plot progression in this issue of Grimm Number 5. If you've enjoyed the other ones, you're going to love this one. All right, we have the foil variant of the main cover. Then we have the Andrade variant. We have the Frizzen variant. And then, yes, we have lots of incentives by popular demand, mostly. The 1 in 25 Frizzen variant for 25 bucks is what we're selling it to for our customers. There is a different colored one per store of that we're selling for 20 bucks. There is this Franny Virgin 1 in 10 variant we're selling for $10. And that's all of them.
You know, it's a boom book when it has a lot of incentives, but great artists on them. Next up, one that I did not get a chance to read all the way through because it is a big book. This is Mighty Morphin Power Rangers number 100. Yes, and it's actually called Mighty Morphin Power Rangers. It's kind of a culmination of the Mighty Morphin and Power Rangers, the two separate series, with a big cast, as you can see there. Multiple artists, kind of celebrating the previous 100 issues, but still a lot of story content. You even have like Dan Mora coming back to do some stuff. And I did want to point out, for one thing, this does bring in the Death Ranger that's been, he had his one shot and everything. You also do get a trading card in each issue. So you can see, you can peel it off right there or leave it in. It's kind of on this glossier paper so it doesn't tear or do anything. So really cool with that. And because I just saw the reports and everything that there is a new Ranger in here, but I did not get to that part when I was reading it, so I can't confirm or deny, but I say it's a pretty sure bet that there's a new Ranger.
Yeah, for an issue 100.
Yeah.
I mean, as many Rangers are there, throw in another one.
And then we have the one per store Mercado variant that we're selling to our customers for $75.
Okay, so I read Thor number 27. Now, bear in mind that Thor is the series that Donny Cates writes on. Well, who's there on the cover? That's right, Venom. Donny Cates just can't stay away from Venom. But check this out. This is actually done not just by Cates, it's done by Al Ewing, who is the current one of the current writers on Venom, him and Ram V. So it actually says on the inside the plot is by him and Cates, and that Al Ewing actually wrote the script for this. So that's different. I don't think Cates has really handed over the reign to another writer like that on Thor. This is a really cool issue, however. So in this follows the fallout from Banner of War, where Thor had hulked out and he destroyed the Bifrost. Okay, so they have no way to get around in Asgard, get out of Asgard. Well, Thor has to go to the last person he wants to ask a favor for. You'll have to read to see who that is. And they're trying to figure out how to fix the Bifrost, and they open up a portal. And this old enemy of Thor, it's sort of a deep cut enemy, comes through the portal out of nowhere, and it looks like it has a symbiote attached to it. So also appearing, not out of the portal, but on its own, is Eddie Brock. Eddie Brock Venom appears, is in this. He has sensed this symbiote in Asgard. He's like, that shouldn't be there. Well, Eddie Brock and Thor team up to try to fight this old enemy that has a symbiote, but it doesn't go very well for them. There are reasons for that. It has to do with, like symbiotes take over people, but what if that person already had something that like really would meld well with it? So this person's like sort of the perfect enemy to defeat both of them. And by the end of this issue, it's able to create a weapon by looking around Asgard and going, what's the most powerful weapon around? And it creates its own version of it. You'll have to see that last page for yourself. So that's what's going on in Thor issue number 27. This team up of Thor and Venom is surely going to continue because it was still, going strong at the end. Here is the Zurcher variant. And then we also have this Raza variant. This is a Raza Predator variant.
Okay, and I've got our Star Wars double feature for the day. Start with Star Wars Dr. Aphra. This is Dr. Aphra number 24. And what is all that on there? Red lightsabers. Who could those belong to? Well, in this issue, Aphra is actually kind of memory hopping, using the Spark Eternal, the big thing that's been in this that replicates dark side powers, to back to around its like creation and some of the original people who were there. So we don't know exactly when, but there are some new dark Jedi or Sith. We don't really know at this point when this takes place. They are not named. That's the thing. A lot of people are speculating: are we going to get a new like Sith Lord in this or something? None of the characters are named. You know, they do have red lightsabers. They are definitely bad guys, but we don't know for sure. And I think this is most likely a one-time occurrence to see them just for this story plot. So really fun issue, especially seeing a lot of that stuff. But I wouldn't count this as a first appearance of anybody. And then we have some variants for it, which is really cool. So we've got the Wingard variant. And then we have the really cool Lord Momin variant. If you remember that character and his helmet that he possessed, and he's the original designer of Darth Vader's castle. So very cool to see him. I don't think we've ever really seen him full body, not as a spirit or something. And then we also this week have Han Solo and Chewbacca number 6. This is Chewbacca in prison. Maz Kanata's there. Some other familiar faces are there. Really fun issue. We've got some variants for that as well. We've got the David Nakayama variant. And we have the Choose Your Destiny Sprouse variant with Mace Windu.
Okay, so I read Harley Quinn, issue number 22. This was a really great issue to read. So look at the cover. It says, "Who killed Harley Quinn?" That is the crux of this new story arc. But before I get into that, I want to talk about how the interior art has changed. So Riley Rossimo is doing the art and has moved on. Possibly that book you were reviewing.
It's probably where he went. Signed a contract for that.
Yeah, that's where he went. And the new art is done by Matteo Lolli and David Baldian. So I don't know if they're both staying on this or what. I don't know. But the art style definitely changes. The art is very good in it, though. Rosimo's art was very, like, sort of silly, like, crazy lines everywhere.
Yeah.
And, you know, fits a Harley book well. This reels it in. This is a little bit more like, I don't know, more classic Harley art. Anyhow, as far as the story to this, it's a mystery. So someone has killed Harley, or so it seems. I say that because, you know. But Harley's friend Kevin finds her dead. You'll have to see how and where, because where it's at is kind of interesting as well. And he takes her to a faraway place, the only place he's heard about that could maybe bring somebody back from the dead. This place, there's an appearance of a fairly new character who's not been seen too many times. This character was last seen in Shadow War, where she had her first appearance. I don't want to reveal everything. So it's not a first appearance, it's just a character we haven't seen much of since Shadow War. And it's like, oh, good, you're back. And so by the end of the issue, Harley does arise. But she seems changed. I'm really interested to see how she is next issue. She seems different. And now she has to figure out who killed her and why. So, you know, I know that sounds like the plot's kind of fast moving. There's a lot I'm skipping over that's best to read by yourself. But a good issue. This one really got me. I enjoyed reading it quite a bit. I don't think anyone who's on Harley is going to be disappointed when they read this one. Here are the variants. Here is the Natalie Sander variant. Sort of a different artist take on Harley than I've seen. And then we have, of course, this is the Sook variant, Dark Knight Returns homage. And there's a 1 in 25 David Baldian variant that we're selling to our customers for $20. So he's one of the new interior artists, at least on this issue. We'll see about going forward.
And I've got another DC book. This is Superman Space Age number 2. So this doesn't come out as regularly. I believe that this is only going to be 3 issues long. This is the oversized book by Mark Russell and Mike and Laura Allred that depicts Superman in the DC universe kind of running parallel with our world, and both of the events happening, the ones that happen in ours and the ones in the DC universe happening in both. So in this one, it is 1972. It's still pretty early in Superman's career. Like Lois doesn't know that Clark is Superman, all of that. But we go through a large time through this issue, ever from when they don't even know each other, with Lois doing her first report on Superman and them having a meeting, all the way we get their marriage in this. So it covers quite a bit of time. I'm not sure what year the next issue will pick up in, but it would have to be 80s ish. Um, it's really interesting to see the things that happen with this. Like we see Batman come into play for the first time. A lot of this book is narrated by Batman, the formation of the Justice League, but we also get some real world events happening in this as well. I'll let you read it to get all of it, but it's a very personal take on Superman and kind of his that classic, even with all these powers, there's some things that he can't do and some situations that he can't just like punch his way out of. Uh, you have him. There's a panel with him and Elvis in the same photo and stuff like that. It's really fun. Also, I'd say this is not like an easy breezy Superman story, which with you would think with like Mike Allred doing the art that it would be psychedelic and fun and everything. There's a lot of weight to this book. So if you are a fan of that, kind of the non-main continuity stuff, you'll probably really like Superman Space Age. We also have a variant for it. This is the Johnson variant.
Okay, I read another indie book. This is by Declan Shalvey. Declan Shalvey does the art, the writing, the whole shebang. It is Old Dog Number One. This follows the character you see on the cover. His name is Jack Lynch. He is a sort of disgraced former CIA operative, although this book starts with him still in the CIA. And through a series of events, like he's already messed his career up. They're trying to get him out of the CIA. They're trying to push him out, retire him, whatever. Through a series of events, he ends up in a room with some advanced technology thing. There's an explosion. You know how that goes. He wakes up 8 years later and he has some powers. Now, they don't really go over what they all are. From what I could see, his powers are that he heals. Another covert agency then basically says, hey, why don't you join us? CIA never did you any favors. Join us because now you have these powers, and the world has changed. We're going to tell you how, probably next issue, and how your powers are going to help. And so that's the general premise to this. This is very much a covert action spy sci-fi book. And there aren't too many of those out there.
Mm-hmm.
So if that's your sort of thing, you may want to check out Old Dog Number One. We've got we got a variant for it. This is the Martin variant. And lastly, here is the Nolan variant. This is a 1 in 10 variant we're selling to our customers for $10.
I feel like that book was solicited a long time ago, and it took a while to come out.
I'm not sure. I don't recall. Could be right.
So, also this week, I feel like this was on a little brief hiatus, but we have Nice House on the Lake number 10. We're getting close to the end of Nice House on the Lake, and there's still a lot of questions, but I don't want to say you get a lot of answers in this, but you do get some explanations to some things. You find out how much control Walter has on this nice house on the lake and this world that these people have been put in, and that could be the scariest part of all. We still don't get a lot of explanations to what or how or anything like that, but we do learn kind of the scope of the situation. Just really, really interesting. And we have this. This is the Samson variant.
Okay, so I read the second issue of Thunderbolts, which is from writer Jim Zub. with art by Sean Exoxe. And in our first issue, there is a new Thunderbolts team. It's been put together by Mayor Luke Cage, and it is led by Hawkeye. And their first mission was they had to stop the old Thunderbolts team, the one that Mayor Wilson Fisk had previously put together. So they squared off with them, and they won. This issue, though, even though Hawkeye is the team leader, he doesn't get to pick the members. That's all done by the PR agency who's running the team from the background under Mayor Cage. And so they end up having to go. A couple of their heavy hitters are missing this issue. You'll have to read why they're not there. And they end up going to the Met, the Metropolitan Art Museum in New York, because there is some alien creature there called Egro, the Unbreakable. Yeah, he's at the museum causing chaos. So they show up, and you get to see how they try to deal with Egro, and it is not an easy thing. He is a very tough hombre. There was a lot of reports of him being in issue number 1. If you watched our show, we told you he was not. Those reports are wrong. He is in this issue. You find out where he's from, but you don't really find out his origin. You do find out why he's in New York. And let's just say that by the end of this issue, you will see a lot. You're going to see a lot more Egro in this series. Egro is going to be a regular character.
He was on the cover of number 1, right?
Mm-mm.
Okay.
Nope, not on the cover, nothing. So we have first full appearance, first cover appearance, the whole shebang of Egro the Unbreakable in this issue, and how they have to deal with him is pretty good too. So another totally enjoyable issue. I recommend it. Thunderbolts issue number 2. We have here is the Manini variant. Then this one's really good. Here is the Cola variant, America Chavez. And lastly, there is a Caselli trading card variant with America Chavez again.
All America, all the time. Okay, I've got one that I also only got a chance to flip through, but I think it's really cool. We've never talked about this title on the show. This is Street Fighter Masters Chun-Li. So this is a kind of origin issue for Chun-Li. So if you're a fan of these Street Fighter games, they're going to be doing these for a lot of the characters. Now this is from Udon Press, which not all stores get. So if you are looking for a Street Fighter comic, make sure to ask your store about it, because they have to order them through the initial orders instead of the regular orders. A bunch of back end stuff you don't need to know about. It's very easy to get missed, but the art in these are always fantastic, really cool. So this is Street Fighter Masters Chun-Li number 1, just a one shot. Want to let you know it's out.
Also out this week is House of Slaughter number 9. So this is more of Edwin's past. You get a scene where he is found as a kid. You get to see where he was found and what was going on there. Always some huge tragedy when they find new people. And you also get to see some of what he saw when he was doing his test, the barn test.
Mm-hmm.
So a lot of Edwin's past in this. There's much more than that, but, at this point, it would just be too much for me to explain all of what's been going on in House of Slaughter. So that's generally what's going on in this issue. And as far as variants, we have the Deladera variant and the body bag variant, because it's sealed up in a body bag. This one has that raised leather look.
Ooh.
Oh, and I'm sorry, there's an incentive. There's also the Virgin variant for it. It's a 1 in 25 for $15.
Okay, and I wanted to show off some covers for Batman Beyond the White Knight. Check out this J. Scott Campbell cover out this week with that very cool suit that Harley has in this series, kind of her new futuristic Gotham suit. And we also have a variant for that one. Another variant, this is the 1 in 25 Sean Murphy variant with Blight, a classic Batman Beyond villain. We're selling to our customers for $25.
Okay, so I did read Captain America Symbol of Truth number 5. This issue is great because, Falcon went to Wakanda to do an investigation. And he was told last issue by Black Panther, "I don't want you here. Get out of here. You're like the U.S. government just coming into my country." Well, they get in a big fight in this issue, and it's not just a fight with their fists. It's also words that they say to each other. It's pretty good. So big old fight, and I'll just say Wakanda does not forgive Sam Wilson or the U.S. for this little incursion. Something kind of changes in the relations by the end of this issue. So that's a lot of what's going on. That and much, much more in Captain America, Sam Wilson I'm sorry, Symbol of Truth. I was going through my Captain America Sam Wilson collection the other day.
Oh,
So
yeah.
it stuck with my mind because first appearance of Joaquin's in issue 3.
Yeah.
But yes, Captain America Symbol of Truth number 5, and here is the variant for this. Here is the Delgado variant.
And of course, we've got another issue of Fortnite X Marvel.
That's the finale. That's
Oh,
that's
it's
the last.
Zero War. So yeah, final issue. You can finally redeem all your codes and get the mega unlockable from this one.
Which is the spider suit on that cover there.
Yes.
They finally revealed that's what it's going to be.
I love that it's also kind of him, that classic like him looking at his black suit.
Yep.
Now it's him looking at this suit.
Secret Wars 8 homage. So that I think once people know about that, we're gonna have a lot of people storming through just to
trying to get all the ones
get
they
the
missed.
code and get all the ones they missed.
So this is the Ron Lim variant, of course, the homage. We've got the Ryan Brown variant. We've got the Cocolo variant of the Doctor Doom. We've got the Mustard variant, Wolverine. And we have a 1 in 50 variant from Wolf that we are selling to our customers for $50.
Wow, there's a lot of work on that cover.
Yeah, or $40. I mean, $40. Yeah, very cool. With Shang-Chi and Fish Stick.
Okay, so my last few I'm going over, I did not get to read. This was a huge week. On top of that, we're helping run a store. I mean, luckily we get left alone a lot, but I get called out for stuff. Andy gets called for stuff. So we just want to make you aware of a few things that I will be reading later. First up, I wanted to say Damage Control number 2 is out this Wednesday. So if you read that first issue, you see our main character here. I believe, from what I read, he got shifted to a different department. He didn't work out so well in the mailroom if you read that first issue. And it looks like he's going to have a run-in with Ant-Man and the Wasp and a burrito. And the variant for that here is the Super Log variant for Damage Control number 2.
Also wanted to show off that this came out. This is The Brothers Flick by Ryan Haddock and art by Nick Weiche.
Chattanooga's very own team.
Yes, Infinity Flux, customers, everything. I feel like a lot of this book was manifested in this room when we had a comics group that met of comic creators.
Yeah, we used to host a group called the Chat Comics Co-op.
Mm-hmm.
Chat is in Chattanooga, and it was a place for writers and artists to meet. And several of those projects have turned into something. And this project, I believe, began here at our shop. And it's an all-ages book. Ryan is a fantastic writer.
Mm-hmm.
Nick has just to write art for this sort of thing. I believe he did the cover as well.
Mm-hmm.
So.
Yeah, so we're also going to be doing a signing for this on October 8th. So if you're local or local enough, you can come and pick up your copy. This is from, I believe, this is Wonderbound, which is the imprint, the all ages imprint. So very cool. Congratulations to them. Whole graphic novel.
Yeah, I know Ryan. He based a lot of the characters off of his sons in real life.
Yeah, so he's got some great write-ups in this as well, in the end, dedications and all that. So we're happy to host them here in a few weeks.
Mm-hmm. Okay, also out is, whoops, reaching the wrong way. Defenders Beyond, issue number 3. And it looks to me like Galactus's mom, who's a team member, is maybe going to get the Phoenix Force in this issue. So you'll just have to see. Cover really stands out when you put that much white on a cover. So that is also out this Wednesday. And here is the Caldwell variant for Defenders Beyond issue number 3. And Al Ewing, he's just writing all kinds of
He
stuff.
is. He's a busy man. I think you have one more.
Oh, yes, I do. So also, I was really trying to get to all these. I wanted to read this one. Shang-Chi and the Ten Rings number 3 is also out. I know coming up there's going to be a tournament where he has to fight a
Yeah.
bunch of people for an ultimate weapon. I'm guessing it's the Ten Rings. So I surmise something's going to happen where he loses them or gives them up, or I don't know. I didn't get to read it, but I will. Here are the variants. This is the Jones variant. And lastly, we have the Laraz variant. All right, big show.
Yeah, I
So
think we went over one or two.
32 comics, and we go over most everything that comes out every week, but that's not even all. This is just a very big week. So hopefully we have helped you learn about these comics, know what you want to buy and what you don't want to buy when you go in your store. If you're watching on YouTube, hit subscribe. I think as of this point, we're like 4 or 5 subscribers away from 1,900 subscribers. Yay, that's great for a,
Yes.
a little comic channel that, puts out 2 videos a week.
Consistently.
Yeah, absolutely. So thank you for watching. We will be back on Friday with Comics from the Future, where we'll go over all the comics that are available to order this week. So thanks for watching, and we will see you next time.